So, part of the NFL offseason is just naturally sometimes players are going to come and go. And we talked earlier this week about David Montgomery being traded to the Houston Texans because, being in Detroit just wasn't for him anymore because he wanted a bigger role. And you accept that that is part of the offseason. Sometimes players you like are going to move on, and it's not in your control as a fan. And even the team is sometimes not always in control of these things. Which is why it's especially painful that after announcing he was returning for another season, Taylor Decker, in a surprise move, has requested to be released from the Lions. We got to talk about it. It literally just happened, so this is a very instant reaction to this news, but Taylor Decker wants out. And there's some things going on behind the scenes that we're not privy to that apparently have just not gone well over the last few weeks. So, yeah, Lions still going to need a tackle. So we're going to talk about all that. Welcome in, everyone. If you're new here, hi, my name is Zach Payne. I make Lions content here on YouTube. If you're returning, welcome back. And before we get into this video, just be sure to hit that like button, hit subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. So this is literally 3 minutes ago from Tom Pelissero. Lions left tackle Taylor Decker, the team's longest tenured player, announced he requested and received his release after contract talks broke down. And this is the statement from Taylor Decker. Things change. 145 games started, 3 playoff appearances, 2 division titles, a decade carrying the shield. I fully intended to do it once again, but my time as a Lion is coming to an end. In the weeks since notifying the team of my return, there have been numerous discussions, many of which were a surprise to me, and we could not find common ground. Therefore, I decided to request my release. I am opting for a clean and amicable close to what has been such a beautiful 10 years going to war as a Lion. It has been the absolute privilege of my life to be your left tackle for the past 10 years, and I am forever grateful for the opportunity the Ford family and the Lions organization afforded me. To the fans, a thank you is simply never enough. You drive the game to be the absolute pinnacle competition in our country. Coming from Ohio to Michigan and being welcomed as a kid, but more importantly being forged into a man in Detroit is a point of pride for me. And we were able to fight, scratch, and claw our way out of the depths and become one of the most feared franchises in the NFL. You were and always have been the most deserving fan base of all the recent success. All love. So yeah, this is quite the shock because Taylor Decker is just an absolute warrior. Everyone loves him, from the fans to the coaches to his teammates. He is one of the most beloved Lions over the past decade. He is the longest tenured Lion after all, and he's just an absolute warrior. We saw how emotional he was at the end of the season, just questioning if he has it within him to do this for another year. And last week, he said he was coming back, and it was like, let's go. The Lions at least have time to figure out the tackle situation. Guess not. So why could this have possibly happened? I don't want to speculate too much, but I'm going to go ahead and assume anyways. I think the Lions probably went to him and discussed some sort of contract restructure, a pay cut of some kind that Decker just was not jiving with, which is his right because he signed the contract. Why would he willingly take a pay cut? So I'm assuming that's what it is. We won't know the full lengths of what happened for days, possibly weeks, as these stories continue to unfold. But yeah, the Lions are suddenly without a left tackle, and that is going to have quite a few ramifications for how the Lions go about building their roster this offseason. Now, obviously, it's been a big talking point as we've begun the offseason is what the Lions' long-term plan is at left tackle, but now it's just a little bit more pressing of a need, obviously, because now one of the Lions' 2 tackle spots is vacant. So there's 2 aspects to this. There is the cap implications of this move. There is the what are the Lions going to do, like as far as filling that void, and then there's the other part outside of the football part, which is just the actual Taylor Decker, like the person part as well, which I kind of touched on already. It's yeah, man. Well, I'll touch more on that a little bit, but let's talk about football implications for a second. So the Lions now have a need at tackle, and I'm saying tackle in general, not left tackle, because there is the option to move Penei Sewell over to left tackle. He played left tackle in college. He was a left tackle his entire life until he got to Detroit, where they made him into a right tackle. So it is very possible that Penei Sewell will be starting at left tackle for the Lions next season, and that would not surprise me in the slightest. However, I think that affords them the flexibility to just draft or sign a tackle in general, find the best tackle you can, and then you can pick which side you want Sewell to play on. So you do have one tackle spot. Like, your left tackle is going to be a good player. It's just whether or not it's a rookie who's only played left tackle or Sewell who's moving from right to left. And again, is this a rookie we're bringing in with the 17th overall pick? Is there a free agent signing that they want to make? I don't know, but that's kind of where we're at in terms of the on the field is Sewell has the flexibility to play both. So that gives you the flexibility if you're Brad Holmes to be like, okay, we don't have to worry about we have to get a left tackle. And it's just get the best tackle you can find and you figure the rest out later. Now, as for the salary cap implications, again, this from Tom Pelissero, Taylor Decker was due $18.2 million this year, including a 1.5 roster bonus if he was on the roster as of March 15th, which obviously it is not. Now, at age 32, he's going to move on. So for the Lions, I don't know what the cap implications are in terms of the dead cap they're going to take on. Maybe we'll find that out by the end of this video if Pride of Detroit or something can update that, but it's again, this is a story that literally just came out and I felt the need to hop on and make a video. So yeah, the cap implications, that's how much Decker was owed. A new tackle, if it's a rookie, obviously it'll be cheaper. If they go out and sign someone, I know they were talking to Jedrick Wills, who didn't play all of last year, but he's still just 26 years old and was highly touted at one point coming out of the draft a few years ago. So that could be a stopgap option if you bring in a rookie, but you also have someone who's like a veteran reclamation project like Wills. Maybe that could work. More NFC North news is also breaking as I'm recording this video. The Packers are releasing Rashawn Gary, their other edge rusher, which I guess when you have Micah Parsons, you're paying him $47 million. Someone for $20 million makes a little bit less sense, but that's interesting. Rashawn Gary is also going to become a free agent. There's a lot of things happening in the NFC North today. A lot of long tenured guys that are just gone. Man, I really hate this. Between Montgomery and Decker, man, those are two fan favorites that are now just gone. That, and not just fan favorite, like Decker represented like the heart and soul of this team for a long, long time. This sucks, man. The one thing I will say is obviously Decker was mulling retirement for the health reasons and for his family. He talked about that at the end of the season. But the one thing I will say, I guess the saving grace, the silver lining, at least all of this is happening before free agency and before the draft. So the Lions have adequate time to make a proper plan. Like, they've probably been working on a plan for a couple weeks now, because I'm guessing they've considered this possibility that Decker would not be with them next year. And yeah, this is unfortunate. Now, again, assuming this is somewhat contract related, I know people are going to be upset with the Lions. So I do just want to touch on that quickly as to why the Lions would do this and operate this way. Because again, I'm operating under the assumption there was some sort of contract, like pay cut that was broached with, the idea was broached with Decker. It's like, hey, would you be willing to take less, or would you be willing to tack on void, whatever the case may be. For the Lions' perspective, this is the cost of being good, is veteran players are sometimes cut and you sometimes have to move on. David Montgomery, he was paid to be a starting running back. Jahmyr Gibbs is due for a contract extension this offseason, and that no longer made financial sense. And so if Montgomery wanted out, okay, we can make that happen. We're not in a pressing need to keep him. Alex Anzalone, he's been a little disgruntled and he's wanted a contract extension because he sees all the young guys getting contract extensions and he thinks that he's played well enough to earn that. And he has, but Detroit can't be the one to foot that bill, so he's going to have to go elsewhere to get that money. Taylor Decker, the Lions have a lot of contract extensions due this summer. And so it's like, hey, can you help us out a little bit and take a little bit of a pay cut? You've made your money in your career. Can you help us out? No, I think I'd rather take my money, and I'd rather be released than to take a pay cut. Okay, then we're going to have to release you because we need that money, and we think we can spend this money elsewhere. This is the cost of doing business, and in sports, in professional sports, as a manager, you have to be a little cold-hearted and a little ruthless to be able to make these moves, because as fans, we emotionally react to everything, right? David Montgomery gets traded. Oh no, I loved watching him. Taylor Decker gets cut. Man, that sucks. I loved watching Taylor Decker. Back in the day, Jamal Williams moves on. Oh man, I love Jamal Williams. I didn't want him to go. But that's the cost of doing business, is you can't think with your heart. You have to think with your head. And I'm never going to credit Brad Holmes for not thinking with his head. He's clearly got the that kind of ruthlessness about him, where he's whatever it takes to make the team better, and I respect him for that. But it is just very difficult from an emotional standpoint, because this is what it costs, and being at the top, like, to be a good team, This is, you have to make tough decisions like this. So, and if guys want out, you sometimes have to accommodate that as well. So it just is what it is. And we saw it. Like, the Chiefs just traded Trent McDuffie, one of their best corners, like one of the better corners in the league, and they traded him to the Rams because they need the draft capital to be able to restock their team and build their team back up to a championship team, right? The Packers just cut Rashawn Gary because they traded for Micah Parsons, and then this fan favorite and Rashawn Gary's son, he has to get cut. There's no room for him anymore. So it's just, it tis the business, and it sucks, but it's reality. So lastly, this update from Dave Burkett. Taylor Decker was due $14.9 million this fall, had a cap hit of $21 million and the $1.5 million roster bonus. The dead money is going to be $6.396 million after this he's released. So that is the money that is going to be on the cap for Taylor Decker this year for the Lions, and it will create a little under $15 million in cap space for them. So there's the financial impact as we approach free agency here very quickly. So that's the headline. Taylor Decker wants out, and he is out. And the Lions do, in fact, need a new tackle. Again, I expect Penei Sewell to probably be the left tackle next season as a result, but we'll just see how free agency and the draft go. But yep, that catapults to, honestly, probably the number one need now for the Lions this offseason is a new tackle. So that's where we're at, man. That's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, be sure to hit like, hit subscribe, ring that notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. Comment down below your thoughts on this surprise transaction, surprise move. Yeah, this sucks. This sucks. Hey, I hate this part of the offseason. I would much prefer to be at the part where the Lions are bringing in pieces and we get to have fun again. But yeah, that's 2 videos this week on a kind of a sour note, but 'tis the business, like I said. So until next time, my friends, cheers.